welcome in to WHF Season 5 here in Tier 2. You're joined by your host this evening of WHFR, and welcome all in to this exciting season opener here as we have the drivers piling out of the pit lane now for the first laps in this calendar. We've got former owner of the league, SSR Zampa, the first driver out there, and this is our first proper league race on F125. Excited to see how everyone can get on. Welcome in everyone as Zampa, thank you for the 1 bit. Also welcome into the stream, thank you for the follow. TJ, Zombie and Kevin Kell, along with Slim and Thori, who followed in the last number of days. Welcome in Rio Harris, who says that you forgot the Tier 1 and Tier 2 calendars were different. Well, here we are in Australia for Tier 2. The season opener, as tomorrow Tier 1 will head to Bahrain for their season opener. But it should be an exciting one. We're going to go on board with the SSR owner of SSR Zampa. 7 great seasons between F1 2020 and F1 2022. And since then we have transitioned to WHF on F1 2023, and now here we are kicking off F1 25 with a bang. SSR Zampa, we ride on board with yet to get a win in SSR. Hasn't made many appearances throughout the seasons in WHF. Well, he has won an SSR, yet to get a win in WHF. Could this be the day? As Zampa is back league racing with us, has joined Williams along with D. Sommers. And where can Zampa put this Williams? It's looking a very clean lap on his first run around. Goes a little deep through turn 12, down into turn 13. Needs to get the car rotated for turn 14, and difficult in traction, but Zampa, oh, he just about keeps it in a straight line, the rear end stepping on that Williams, and it is a 16.9 for SSR Zampa. And next across the line, who will it be? Will it be Cthulhu? Cthulhu up to the line, where can Cthulhu go? An 18.7. Next it's Tide Clear, as Ty is up to the line. It's an 18.5. Zampa out in front by some margin here, as we've got the reserve of Daddy Chill for the day, and goes P2. Unfortunately not Arn as your Tier 1 driver. Unfortunately, as Stephen Beecham gone quickest with a 16.9. Lovely lap time from the Ferrari, making the move to Ferrari this season and joining Ty Clear here in Tier 2. As we have TJ, who's had some sort of contact with the wall. End plates missing on that McLaren. As we've got Ellis on a flyer. Scones starting a lap as the Mercedes gets out of his way. And as we're on board with our Tier 1 commentator for Season 4. Where can Scones go in this competitive field? A reminder, yeah, Arn, unfortunately you can't race, but we're looking forward to seeing you race tomorrow in Tier 1. And also we're wishing the best for Cree out there. Last season, the 2 Mexicans of Aaron and Cree were a strong Haas pairing, and unfortunately separated by pace this season as Ty Clear just ahead of his teammate by 8 thousandths. Look how close we are at the top. It is just over 400 separate Ty Clear, Stephen Beecham and SSR Zampa. Rio's guess for the tier will be Zampa, Ty Clear, then Scones. And really looking forward to seeing what our pace will be. As Scones now round the final corner in the Aston Martin. Where can he go? As Scones up to P7. We also have a reminder. In previous seasons, early on in WHF, we had a pairing of 3 brothers. We had Naka Kraka, Nudomatic and Tantrum Turnip. And for the opening race here in Season 5 of WHF, we have Autism, Ledgeman and Ollie Bean, who are another trio of brothers. As Infrajack says his game crashed, we'll try and get Infrajack back in again. Thankfully, because he's one of my Steam friends, he's on the first there. Anyway, we right on board with the Lanky One. One of the favourites for the season, I would definitely say, here in the Mercedes. And it's a very competitive in that top 3. Can Lanky One join that top 3 here in the Mercedes? Will he be one of the favourites for the title? Last year, it was Kevin Cal was the winner in Tier 2 as Codzilla. And Michael Louis were inside the Tier 2 top 3 and moved up. Meanwhile, I believe the Lanky One was P4 in last season's championship. Let me double check that information. If we look at WHF Season 4, it was the... Yeah, it was Dubbo P4, and Dubbo not here today as the Lanky One goes P6. The Lanky One was P5, Ty Clear was P6. And Arn, who's actually in the chat, was P7. And Arn actually showing some good pace on the new game. So, has moved up to Tier 1. Meanwhile, Ledgeman on a flyer here. And Ledgeman is the Mercedes. Who's that of? Is that Ollie Bean? Ollie Bean seems to have made some sort of error out of turn 10 on his outlap. But meanwhile, his brother of Ledgeman out on a flyer here. 2/10 to the good. Where can Ledgeman go here? And just to let you know, if Ledgeman has a good result this season, we are absolutely... It'll be absolute limbs. We will be throwing limbs absolutely everywhere. As Ledgeman now round the final corner and up to the line. Oh no, as the Williams into the wall! And that is Zampa spinning at the final corner and thankfully surviving as Ledgeman moves up to P4. Zampa with a massive crunch of the wall. Oh my lord. Yeah, Kevin Kell, I had no idea Ledgeman and Ollie Bean were brothers until today. As D Summers unfortunately has left the session. Let me try and get D back in again. Unfortunately, maybe peering offline, so we have to go through the whole list of friends to find D Summers. Thankfully, his name is equal to his gamer tag. Meanwhile, we've got Cthulhu out there, and yes, Arn, what a spin out there from Arn. Welcome in, Cod. Welcome into the stream, Cod. One of the runners-up in last season's Tier 2 moves up to Tier 1 on the new game. Meanwhile, we've Cthulhu up to the line. And Cthulhu, where can he go? As he crosses the line, does improve up to P6. D Summers, thankfully, back into the lobby as we see TJ on his debut here in WHF up to P4. Good placement from the McLaren as Kevin Cal in the chat says Ferrari are cooking. And they do seem to be. Meanwhile, Ollie Bean up to the line. And 18-2 as Lime has joined. Lime in the Aston Martin. Another one of the favourites potentially here for the Tier 2 title. As we... Ollie Bean, I would say was quicker than Ledgeman last season, although Ollie Bean now has moved over to Wheel. So you may see Ledgeman outperforming his brother until Ollie Bean gets used to Wheel, which may take some adjustment as Stephen Beecham now up to the final corner. Can he get ahead of Ty Clear? As Stephen Beecham crosses the line, it's a 3/10 improvement, and Stephen Beecham in the Ferrari, it's a 16.6, and a beautiful improvement there from the Ferraris. And as we are here, it looks like the Ferraris may be one of the favourites for the title. It looks like Ferrari have a leg up on the competition here already in this short qualifying session. As Kevin Cal says, go on Lime, get podium, and we'll like to see, can Lime get a good qualifying performance here. Had some good qualifying performances last season in Tier 2, but was unable to convert. As I don't know if that's it, Infrajack left. We'll just, in case, we'll invite him back in again. Just in case he's having some issues. Infrajack having a lot of trouble, unfortunately, with his setup on this game. Hopefully he can get going. As... unfortunately, to anyone who's in the TikTok chat, I'm only after opening it now, so as Ty Clear does improve by a tenth, but not enough to catch Stephen Beecham. But the Ferraris there seem to be in a level of their own here, as Scones down in P10 going to start this lap here in the Aston Martin. And Scones a bit of grass on his tyre. Where can Scones go in the Aston Martin here? Recently has moved to Steam. So we'll see, is there PC pace a thing, or is that fibs? Personally, I think that's fibs. I think wheel being OP on this game, that was definitely a thing. For those of you unaware, as we've moved to F125, wheel's about 3/10 quicker than the previous game in comparison to pad, as well as the tyre wear on wheel being significantly better, as D Somers chucks it through turn 9 and 10. And now up to the heavy braking zone of turn 11. Gotta pick your braking zone, kiss the apex, and around Scones goes. And one of the more difficult corners on the calendar, turn 12, I would say. You don't really know which gear. It's kind of one of those corners where you want to be in 6th, but then you can find yourself bottoming out as Scones now round the final corner. And the Aston Martin now on a drag to the line. Where can Scones go? As it's a big improvement for Scones. Almost 7/10 and up to P4 goes Scones. You love to see it. Meanwhile, we've got Zampa around on a lap here as well. He's 3/10 the good. Could Zampa be one of the favourites for pole here? Has to keep it all valid through the final sector. Goes a little wide at turn 11. But can he keep it together through turn 12 and 13? That's a much better run than he did on his previous lap, I must tell you. Much better run through turn 12. And now out of the final corner, Zampa going to plant the throttle. Gets much better traction now. Zampa up to the line in the Williams. Where will Zampa go? It's pole for Zampa. Provisional pole. And I hope I do not have to say it's anyone else, because Zampa is rolling back the years with that lap. A 16.4 in Zampa on provisional pole, and we are rooting for Zampa here. Meanwhile, Cree had to avoid the Red Bull there of Infrajack, I believe, on this lap. Meanwhile, Lime around on a lap. Where can Lime go in the Aston Martin? He had some impressive performances in the social races. Where can Lime go in the season opener here in Tier 2? As Lime now, he's got 2 more corners to navigate. Turn 13 and 14 and round the final corner. Lime now up to the line. Where will the Aston Martin go? As it's a charge to the line, and Lime going to cross it. And it's a 17-1, which is a very good banker here. And currently we have a Williams on pole, followed by a double Ferrari. And next it's the double Aston Martins here, with Lime with a very good banker there to start. When Cthulhu brushes the wall on his lap. We've got Lanky out there in the Mercedes. See where Lanky can go now as he exits turn 6. Has to avoid the McLaren of Controlling, I believe, or may have been TJ. The Lanky one now charges down the back straight and into the quick chicane of turn 9 and 10. And Lanky now braking into turn 11, gets the car rotated well, traction out of 11. How's this run through turn 12? A very difficult corner, not a bad run. But we have seen a couple of drivers take more speed through there. It goes very wide at turn 13 and has to bail out of the lap. Went too wide on entry there at turn 13. Meanwhile, TJ starting a lap here, went for an extra outlap, I believe. We've got Cree and Autism around with some laps here. Ollie Bean on a flyer here in the Mercedes. Anyone else close to finishing lap? I think Infrajack will be the next around here in the Red Bull, as Cthulhu has retired. Where's Cthulhu retired? Maybe in the box. As Infrajack comes in, we've got Autism around. 7/10 of the good is the Haas driver, making his debut here in WHF Tier 2. And up to the line and improves to an 18.5 as Ollie Bean, his brother, crosses the line and up to P6. Massive improvement there from Ollie Bean. Almost a second improvement there for the Mercedes driver. And Ollie Bean, what a qualifying performance it has been from him. New to wheel, need I remind you. And even though he's new to wheel, that does not matter. As controlling up to P5. Terrific lap time there from the debutant in the McLaren. And, as we see TJ brush the wall there. But some of these drivers who you see who are currently reserves may get promoted very shortly to a seat. Just have to keep an eye out for them as Creed Cree starting another lap. We've got Ty Clear, one of the favourites for pole out there. Needs 4/10 though to catch Zampa, as the Aston Martin gonna get out of the way of the Ferrari of Ty Clear as he looks to improve here on that P3 lap time. As Lanky says, this is a weak track for him, so it's going to be a damage limitation race. But Ty Clear now flying around, has a V-carb ahead of him that seems to be lagging a bit, which may be slightly distracting. Not quite sure who that is, maybe Cree. As Ty Clear now chucks it into turn 9 and 10. And actually a little bit down on his delta, 300ths down on his delta was Ty Clear. And now into turn 11. Does he get a good run through there? Mighty run through there does the Ferrari. Through turn 12, little lift, but kisses the exit curb. And now round the final corner. This will be Ty Clear's final attempt. But did he get good enough traction out of the final corner? We will see as Ty Clear up to the line and going to cross it and gets a 3/10 improvement ahead of his teammate, but just 4/10 shy of Zampa. As Stephen Beecham now, another one of the favourites for pole here, going to round the final corner, and the checkered flag is about to fall, and Stephen Beecham up to the line, crosses it, no improvement for the Ferrari. Meanwhile, Zampa, who currently sits on provisional pole, up to the line. Where can Zampa go? In a drag to the line, improvement for Zampa, and Zampa with a 16.3 sets the pole lap time. Can anyone do anything to come close to that? Daddy Chill up to P5, an identical lap time to Lime. Ollie Bean not improving there. Ledgeman didn't make the checkered flag. Autism not improving. We've got Lime on a flyer, but doesn't seem to be up on his delta. 2/10 to the good is Lime. Will it be enough that we will see? Controlling not improving. TJ invalid, so it will be Lime next across the track here, or next across the line here, to improve on their lap. Has Lime got more time in this lap? We will see. Currently at 17.1, he needs 8/10 if he wants pole here, as the Aston Martin of Lime now will round the final corner and make it a bit of a tow from the V-carb ahead. And Lime on a drag race to the line. The Aston Martin comes up to it as he crosses the line. It's a good improvement, but not enough to improve on position. And TJ invalid. Lanky round the final corner. Where can the Mercedes of Lanky go? Up to the line. Lanky crosses it, and no improvement for Lanky. Is in for Jack invalid. And Stephen Beecham invalid as well. So SSR Zampa starts the season with a pole position here. And thank you for the subscriptions while all that was happening of Kevin Kell and myself. Thank you all for the subscriptions. As I'll try and get the stream up again. But there you have it. Zampa on pole here in round 1 here in Australia. What a mega lap there from the Williams, as Ollie Bean says was 4/10 up and exceeded by such a minuscule amount. So Ollie Bean will start as good as P8, but Zampa donates 20 bits in celebration of his pole lap time. And thank you again for more bits from Zampa. Now, can Zampa convert here with a mega lap time there? It'll be Zampa followed by the Ferrari pairing of Ty Clear and Stephen Beecham. Then it's Lime, Daddy Chill, Crowlin, controlling. Scones, Ollie Bean, TJ, Ledgeman, Cthulhu, Lanky, D Summers, Infrajack, Autism, and Cree Cree. Kevin Kell says 2 second field spread from the throughout the field, but very close we are up at the top. Zampa 2/10 clear of Ty Clear and Stephen Beecham. Lime half a second back from pole. But this is going to be an exciting season opener here in Tier 2. Who will get a good start? Let me tell the drivers when to ready up. Hopefully we don't get any early readies. Because if we get early ready-ups to start the season, it's going to be a bit depressing. And TJ says we're going to do a 1:16 at the end, but exceeded the track limits. So unfortunately, unfortunate for TJ, but did not get that valid lap in at the end. As someone did ready up early, we may... Oh, and D Summers is lagged out. Try and get D Summers back in again. And hopefully we don't have to do a restart here, but we may have to. As we do have the 5 red lights, hopefully everyone gets away well here. As we are 5 red lights in Australia for the season opener, and Zampa gets us away as Ty Clear on the inside of Zampa down into turn 1. As Stephen Beecham going to look for a position. There's a lot of contact down into turn 1. Zampa gets through as there's mega carnage at the back here. And Scones drops down the order as Lime up to P2 out of nowhere. Lime battling here with Ty Clear. Cars absolutely everywhere. As a lot of cars off the road. Oh, someone's got to back out here. As Infrajack with a lovely move on Ledgeman. A lot of carnage there into turn 1. We'll have to see what the stewards say about that one. As Ledgeman going wide along with his teammate of Autism. And Cthulhu now on the rear of Infrajack. Infrajack getting up into P7. Brilliant start for Infrajack here in this one. As Scones now battling with Ledgeman and Cthulhu with already a time penalty here on lap 1, but Zampa with a brilliant start here ahead of Ty Clear. Lime up to P3 on these hard tyres as Stephen Beecham down to P4, and everyone seems to have survived the lap 1 carnage so far. Some drivers like Ledgeman with damage here. Oh, and a big send from D Summers on the Haas, punts him off there, and the Haas down to the back. That may be a penalty. We'll have to see what the stewards say about that one. Meanwhile, Ty Clear on the rear of SSR Zampa. Now with DRS enabled on this lap, as Arn in the chat has predicted 3 safety cars. Can Ty Clear start to get ahead of Zampa here? We will see. There's a lot of carnage there into turn 1. So many drivers diving as Cthulhu goes wide. Trying to deal with the dirty air is so many drivers, but we have a train from P1 down to P14. Very close field here in Tier 2. As Lanky gets ahead of Cthulhu. And oh, Lanky's into the wall. Lanky with a big crunch to the wall. Not quite sure what happened with the Mercedes there. As Ty Clear gets into the lead here on lap 2. But the Mercedes of Lanky One all the way down to the back. And heartbreak for Lanky One. Not quite sure what happened there. As Cthulhu leaves the track. He's got damage as well. Maybe a coming together between the Alpine and the Mercedes of Cthulhu and Lanky One there. And some early big damage for both drivers there. Probably have to box for fresh tyres and a new front wing. Is Cthulhu and Lanky here in the opening round of the season. As Ty Clear sets the fastest lap, Zampa sets after the Ferrari now. As Lime picks up a 3-second time penalty. Cthulhu with a 10-second spinning in the pit lane penalty. But Lime already getting a 3-second time penalty this early in the race. That's not going to help. Zampa with a big spin! And Zampa, unfortunately, collects Lime after that spin. But Lime, does he have damage? I think Lime just about escaped the damage, but it's allowed Ty Clear now to build a 1.5 second gap, and that's Daddy Chill out. Where is he going? He's out. And I've no idea how that's not a safety car. Surely that's a safety car. No idea how it's not. As Stephen Beecham gets out of line here. Zampa trying to recover after his spin. And currently it's a Ferrari 1-2. Stephen Beecham on the rear of Lime. I've no idea how we've not got a safety car there. Or Lime on the rear of Stephen Beecham. And we've somehow not got a safety car for that massive crash there at turn 4. Controlling off. Contact with Cree potentially here. As Lime gets ahead of Stephen Beecham into turn 1. And an opportune move there from Lime. But Lime with that 3-second time penalty surely going to cost him here. As D. Somers now on the rear of Scones. May look for a move down into turn 3. Scones goes very deep though. Opens the door to D. Somers. And a lovely fake from D. Somers gets through on Scones. Down to P9. Thank you for the follow, Jamie. Welcome into the stream. As we head on board with the Aston Martin in for Jack Picking. But time penalty. That's not going to help the Red Bull. But Ty Clear having a strong race here to start. As there's a yellow flag around it. As a TJ into the wall. Heartbreak for the McLaren driver here in Australia as Stephen Beecham heads after Lime. I'm going to actually check the settings. Is the safety car off? It's on reduced, so I loaded the WHF settings that normally we have, so they are accurate. Just no idea how that crash from Daddy Chill was not a safety car here. Meanwhile, D. Somers on the rear of Ledgeman. Ledgeman still dealing with damage here as D. Somers tries to get through on the Haas. And meanwhile, Zampa trying to recompose, catch Stephen Beecham and Lime. Ollie been having a great first race here in this opener on wheel. As Zampa somehow has DRS. Not quite sure how he had DRS there. Either way. Lime still trying to head after Ty Clear. Ty Clear has pulled the gap now. But how long will those mediums last in comparison to the hard owners? We'll certainly have to see. Meanwhile, TJ into the box. Controlling off again here. Not quite sure what happened with the McLaren of controlling. But down he goes. Next we have D. Somers on the rear of Ledgeman. Can D. Somers get ahead now? As we head up to turn 9. D. Somers going to look on the inside. Risky move on the inside. The Williams go side by side with the Haas. The Haas surely has to back out. Doesn't back out. Which opens the door to Scones. Getting through that open gap. But Scones is around. And into the wall. Big mistake there from Scones. As Scones crunches the wall. No idea how he survived that. Absolutely no idea how he survived that crash. But Scones now definitely going to have to box for a new front wing. As D. Somers now up into P7. But Scones with a massive crash. And Infrajack unfortunately lagged out. We'll try and get him back in again. Thankfully he's the first there. So it should be easy enough. Kevin says it's okay. It'll be a medium as Ledgeman picks up a time penalty here. Not ideal for Ledgeman. But I agree with Kevin Kell. It will be medium from here. If Scones has the tyres available. Meanwhile, Lime and Ty Clear slowly starting to catch, or Lime and Stephen Beecham slowly starting to catch Ty Clear here. And Stephen Beecham now catching the rear of Lime. Is he going to go for the move into turn 9? Just not close enough to go for the move on the Aston Martin driver. Jimmy says, how has he survived that when I retired for tapping the wall? I don't know how Scones survived that, to be honest with you. He hit that so hard. I don't know if I've ever seen someone hit the wall so hard and survive. That was ridiculous how Scones hit that wall. Meanwhile, Scones now on the rear of Lanky as they both try and catch Cthulhu. Cthulhu out there in the softs. Lanky going to try and get back ahead of Cthulhu. There's a yellow flag out. Not quite sure who for. It may have been Zampa, potentially, or maybe Ollie Bean. Ollie Bean's lost a whole load of time to D Summers as Lanky loses out to Scones here. Not quite sure what happened with the Lanky and Scones, as Scones looking on the inside of Cthulhu. Lanky looks around the outside, but no move happening there. As Scones sees Cthulhu leave the track ahead of him. And Scones going to try and find a way back through on Cthulhu. If he can. Scones has the slightly better mediums here. Can he find a way through? Also, you have Infrajack, unfortunately, is lagged out. Allows Ledgeman through. As Scones actually has gotten Cthulhu into turn 1. You don't normally see a move into turn 1. We've seen one from Lime and another from Scones here. As the lanky one may look for a move on Cthulhu. Down into turn 3. The lanky one on the inside. Side by side they go. And the lanky one unable to get ahead. Meanwhile, D Summers gets ahead of Ollie Bean. And Lime and Stephen Beecham almost in DRS range from Ty Clear. Oren says, what is the damage situation? Well, Ledgeman still has damage, but I think he's the only driver out there with damage at this stage in the race. Meanwhile, Ty Clear trying to hold on to that position. Lanky one gets ahead of Cthulhu. Meanwhile, Scones seems to have dropped both of them out of his DRS. Now, Scones could be on a decent strategy here until the end to try and recoup some good points. A reminder, everyone in the race who will finish this race will score points. As Stephen Beecham on the rear of Lime. Lime doesn't have DRS. Can Stephen Beecham use this opportunity now to get ahead of the Aston Martin driver? Does Lime have DRS from Ty Clear, though, is the question, as we're here on lap 8. And Lime does have DRS from Ty Clear, so that's going to help Lime massively in this one, as Cthulhu retires in the pit lane. We're going to try and get Infrajack back in. He just seems to be having tons of issues with his entire system, it seems. Meanwhile, we now have a top 3 of Ty Clear, Lime and Stephen Beecham. As Cthulhu has called it a day. Lime now on the rear of Ty Clear, but a reminder, Lime's time penalty may cost him here. We'll have to keep an eye out to see how this race will end up. Ty Clear doing a reverse strategy to Lime and Stephen Beecham. He'll probably be going long on the hards to around lap 16 or so, I would say. Maybe even 17. To then swap onto the mediums. Meanwhile, Ty Clear trying to make these mediums last until lap 12. But Lime in the Aston Martin already pressuring Ty Clear. And Lime now may get through into the lead of the race. Battling with Ty now. As Ty losing the rear a little through turn 6. Which may open the door to Lime in the Aston Martin here. Can Lime find a way through here? As he tries to catch the Ferrari. And Lime into turn 9. Has a little look on the inside, backside of it, thinks better of it. As Lanky one picks up a 3-second time penalty. Due to track limits, as Lime now down into turn 11. Waits for the better opportunity to get ahead of Ty Clear. And now on the inside, Lime and Ty Clear go side by side. Bit of wheel banging through turn 11 there. A bit of a loss of the rear from the Aston Martin. And Ty loses out to the Aston. Meanwhile, Stephen Beecham going to look for a way past his teammate here. Ty trying to recompose and get back past out of Lime. But with both Ferraris following the Aston Martin now, can they both work together here to get ahead of Lime? We will certainly see. As Ty Clear cutting the inside corner there. That would have definitely been a warning on that Ferrari. Maybe he lifted off to avoid it. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Infrajack losing out as Stephen Beecham gets out of Ty Clear. Out of nowhere, it seems. Stephen Beecham must have gone for an ungodly sin to get ahead now, maybe. But Stephen Beecham now may have lost DRS to Lime now. This may have compromised the Ferraris, as Stephen Beecham and Ollie Bean picks up a 3-second time penalty. But Stephen Beecham now has no DRS to Lime now. He's got to use some battery to catch the Aston Martin. Otherwise, Lime may be able to check out in the front of this race. As Ty Clear following his teammate, but A late dive bomb from Stephen Beecham at turn 3 may have compromised both Ferraris here in trying to work together to get the win here. Stephen Beecham going to head after Lime here. But does he have the pace, or will Lime start to build a gap here? As we head on the lap 10, as Autism gets ahead of Controlling, as the McLaren trying to find a way back through again on the Haas. Side by side they go down into turn 11, and Autism around the outside tries to find a way through, and Haas leaves the track, which may open the door to Creekry, who seems to be lagging through everyone here. But Stephen Beecham now half a second back from Lime, and Lime does have a time penalty, but Lime may end up winning here if he can continue to pull a gap to the Ferrari of Stephen Beecham. And as time progresses, the gap begins to grow between Lime and Stephen Beecham. Maybe the Ferraris should have done a better job at working together here, because with Stephen Beecham going for that move on Ty, it might have cost both of them the chance at a win here. Meanwhile, Zampa doing this long stint on the mediums. His mediums may have been slightly cooked, but with that spin. But Zampa now still doing well here. He wants to do a lap 12 or so on those mediums before boxing for hards until the end. Meanwhile, Ollie Bean battling with D Summers now. Ollie Bean back on the inside of the Williams, and Ollie Bean back up into P5 if he can pick his braking point, as D Summers now on the rear of the Mercedes. And unfortunately today not been the best of the day for the Mercedes pair, with the lanky one having a bit of a nightmare race. Meanwhile, Zampa, our first driver into the box, you would think, to do their pit stop until the end of the race. Zampa now on hards until the end. Meanwhile, Ty Clear may have lost DRS from Stephen Beecham, as Stephen Beecham continues to fall further back from line. But Zampa trying to pull the undercut here. Where can Zampa end up here after he exits the box in P9? As Infrajack unfortunately retires in the pit lane, just having a lot of issues with his system. Unable to get his frame rate to stop freezing on him. Not quite sure why that's happening. But the game's becoming pretty undrivable for him. Meanwhile, we've got D Summers on the rear of Ollie Bean, as Stephen Beecham continuing to lose time to Lime. And this could be a potential chance here for Lime to win here in the season opener. He continues to pull a gap to the Ferrari, as D Summers now on the rear of Ollie Bean. The Williams trying to search for a way through. As Arn in the chat says, can't believe the Ferraris let Lime make a 2 seconds gap. And Ty Clear now in for hards until the end. Where will he exit the box? We will see him probably ahead of Controlling, you would think. As Controlling now is coming up to the main straight. Ty Clear will come into turn 1. And unfortunately for Zampa, who did start for the race from pole, not close to Ty Clear at all here. But Ty now can undercut the likes of Lime and work his way back up into the lead of the race. But will he have the tyres to defend from Lime? We will certainly see as time progresses. Meanwhile, Stephen Beecham continuing to lose time to Lime. And Stephen Beecham may have to try to undercut Lime here as well, because if Lime can pull that gap outside the 3 second margin, Lime could be in for a win here in the WHF Season 2 opener. As D Summers now on the rear of Ollie Bean. We've got Zampa on Autism in the Haas, and Zampa gets through. Next he has the V-carb of Creekry, who has been lagging a bunch, and Stephen Beecham into the box off the hards. Stephen Beecham maybe trying the two-stop? Very surprised to see Stephen Beecham go for the two-stop here, as Creekry being very hard to read with the connection here. Zampa going to try and find a way through. Can't quite tell where the V-Carb even is. And Zampa now back up into P7 as Ty Clear has got ahead of Stephen Beecham now. But Stephen Beecham going to have to do a two-stop here. Surely those mediums are not going to make it to the end. So, not quite sure what Stephen was thinking. Maybe his hards were just too worn, had no other alternative, had to go to the two-stop. But there's no way he's making these mediums last to the end here. As Autism picks up a time penalty as he heads after Cree. We've got D Summers now in the rear of Ollie Bean side by side. They go into turn 9 and 10. Risky place to go for a move, and they keep it clean together. Just about avoiding any contact as D Summers now going to look back on the inside of turn 11. And D Summers gets on through. As Kevin Kell says, oh no, one stop better. The mediums make last 15 laps actually. I don't think so. As Lime has come in as well, I think they may have screwed themselves. I think Ty Clear is back into being the favourite for the win here. Although how big of a gap has Lime pulled here on those mediums? Ty Clear now into turn 1. Will have DRS on Lime. But I don't think those mediums can go to the end. That is going to be a bit of a stint on the mediums. To go half of the race on them. I just don't think they'll last. Now Lime has Ollie Bean and D Summers for some traffic here. And we'll see what factor this plays. The traffic ahead as Ollie Bean makes a mistake, goes wide, opens the door to the Aston Martin, and Lime may go straight through that gap. As I'm sure Ty Clear will want to follow him straight through as well on the rear of the Mercedes. And is Ty going to look for a risky move into turn 9? Just going to wait. Be patient as Ty goes a little deep. And that may delay him from trying to catch Lime here. As Lime trying to get ahead of D Summers. Not close enough, but Ty got to certainly make a move on Ollie Bean. As Ollie Bean makes a mistake out of turn 11, opens the door around turn 12. And Ty Clear with a lovely move around the outside. Meanwhile, Lime battling with D Summers here through the final corners here as we've got Ollie Bean into the box. Lime on the rear of D Summers now down into turn 1. Can Lime get ahead? Lime on the inside of D Summers will get ahead as Ty Clear now. Can he find a way through on D Summers as well? Ty's going to want to get ahead of D Summers as soon as possible so that he can catch the rear of Lime and not lose DRS. As D Summers goes defensively on the inside, Ty around the outside. And Ty going to get through on D Summers, but has Ty lost DRS to Lime? This could be crucial in the race. Lime now has a DRS margin. Can he pull a big enough gap and manage those mediums to the end? We will certainly see. Ty Clear's hards will definitely make it to the end, but will Lime's mediums? We're not quite sure. As Stephen Beecham now on the outside of D Summers. Going to get through with DRS now. As D Summers looking to go long on those hards before coming in for the mediums. But not quite sure if Lyman and as Zampa gets ahead of control. And not quite sure if Lime and Stephen Beecham have boxed too early here. They may have bit the bullet too early on in the race. And those tyres may struggle to make it to the end here. As we're on lap 16, Lime does have a DRS gap to Ty Clear. But how long can he hold on to those mediums for is the question. Have Lime and Stephen Beecham potentially cost himself big here in this one? We'll have to keep an eye out as Lime sets the fastest lap. Tries to build a gap to Ty Clear now, but does he have the tyres to keep Ty Clear at bay? We'll have to certainly see. As Stephen Beecham now looking at his first podium in WHF. I'm pretty sure everyone in the field is looking for their first podium in WHF apart from the lanky one, as Ollie Bean gets ahead of Ledgeman down into turn 1, and Ollie Bean getting ahead of his brother here into P8. As Stephen Beecham looks to use DRS to stay with Ty Clear. But can the Ferraris work together to try and catch Lime here is the question. Or will they hold each other up? It is uncertain at this stage. On lap 17, and Lime needs to keep pulling a gap to Ty Clear. He needs to beat Ty Clear by 3 seconds or more in order to negate the track limits time penalty that Lime has in that Aston Martin. Meanwhile, Ty Clear looking for his first podium in WHF, never mind his first win, along with Stephen Beecham and Lime, all vying for the first podium, as D. Somers now going to come in for mediums now, trying the reverse strategy. D. Somers will picks up a 10-second time penalty. That's going to certainly hurt him in this one. Meanwhile, Zampa having a strong race down in P4. He's just going to keep it clean to the end, and P4 should be his. But unfortunately, no podium for Zampa here in the season opener, as Ty and Stephen Beecham, we may get a double podium for Ferrari, as Scones now in for his final pit stop, along with D. Somers. We've got Ollie Bean on the rear of Cree, as Cree's connection does seem to be visibly a bit distracting. Can Ollie Bean even tell where the V-Carb is? We're not quite sure. And Legeman involved here as well. Legeman did get his front wing fixed in the box. Meanwhile, Ollie Bean on the rear now of Cree, trying to find a way through on the V-Carb. Can Legeman find a way through on his Mercedes brother? And Legeman now going to pick the outside of Cree. Side by side we go into turn 9 as they're ghosting. And thankfully they ghosted and not came together, as Ollie Bean picks up a time penalty. Going a little wide there. Thank God they ghosted instead of coming together, because I just think Cree's connection today unfortunately has not been with us. As D. Somers now going to look for a position on Cree. But again, he can't quite tell where the V-Carb is either, as Controller now in off those hards onto the mediums. And D. Somers now looking for a position on Cree, as I'm sure he's doesn't know where the V-Carb is. And Ollie Bean now up to P5, along with Legeman into P6. They're having a strong race here, as Cree needs to box off those hards at some point. Not sure what point that will be, but some point surely. As D. Somers will surely want to get ahead of Cree at earliest chance, but just can't quite see where the V-Carb is really. And D. Somers does get through, as Scones getting through on TJ. But what will happen with the Ferraris here? Doesn't seem like Lime is building that big of a gap to Ty Clear. Ty Clear on these hards may be one of the favourites for the win here in Australia. A reminder, last season Ty Clear had a chance at the win, and unfortunately a big error would result in Ty Clear crashing into the race, as D. Somers gets ahead of Ellis now, as Ellis has dropped back from the lanky or from Ollie Bean, as the lanky one picks up a 3-second time penalty as Scones heads after the Mercedes. Meanwhile, Stephen Beecham on the rear of Ty. Can Stephen Beecham find a way through on his teammate finally? Or are they going to work together to catch Lime here? We will certainly see. Lap 20, and still a lot to play for in this one, as Cree comes in off the hards onto the mediums now. And Scones now on the outside of the lanky one, as the lanky one just going to let through the Aston Martin. Doesn't want to hold them up because they're on differing strategies here. But the Ferraris, P2 and P3, if the race were to end under the current deltas, it would be a Ferrari 1-2, as there's a yellow flag out for TJ, I believe. Must have made a mistake there into turn 1. But a Ferrari 1-2 on the cards. A reminder that Ferrari won the Constructors in Season 4 in Tier 1. And as we continue on here in Season 5, they may win the Constructors here in Tier 2. With Ferrari having a very good showing to start the season. We'll have a look at the penalty situation. D. Somers with 13. Meanwhile, Ollie Bean and Legeman, along with Lanky, on 6. As Cree, Autism, TJ and Lime are race leader on 3 seconds of penalties. But still, all to play for is everything here. Anyone could win this one. And surprisingly so, we didn't have any safety cars in this race, despite the Saubers crash earlier in the race was definitely safety car worthy, but for whatever reason the safety car didn't come out despite it being unreduced. As Stephen Beecham goes a little wide through turn 10, trying to stay with Ty Clare. The dirty air may be playing a factor here. Meanwhile, Ty still maintaining a decent delta to Lime. Lime has not run away yet. So Ty Clare's just going to keep it composed until the end here. And it could be a win for Ty, as I'm sure Lime wants that win as well. And Stephen Beecham also looking at a win here, potentially as well. For anyone on the grid, it would be their first victory in WHF, other than I think the Lanky one may have a win. I'll double check and verify that information, but I'm 90% sure no one else has a win here in WHF. It would only be Lanky. So this will be an exciting ending. Who will win here? Who will get their first win in WHF? Will it be Lime, Ty Clare, or Stephen Beecham? Stephen Beecham struggling to stay with his teammate of Ty Clare. Has Ty Clare dropped him out of DRS as he hits the line? I think he has. Stephen Beecham doesn't have DRS anymore. And I honestly think Lime and Stephen Beecham came in far too early to go on to the medium tyres. It was just far too early to try and make the mediums last to the end. They should have went longer before coming on to the mediums. And you can see Ty Clare seems to be the strongest out there. And neither Lime or Stephen Beecham are pulling a big enough gap to Ty here. And there's still 7 laps remaining in this race. So Ty's tyres will certainly start outperforming both drivers, as Stephen Beecham yet again has no DRS. Ty Clare seems to be coming back at Lime now. And can the Ferrari. COD says, don't know about all the issues with the curbs of Bahrain. I think there's only one curb that's an issue, COD. So, not quite sure if we need to change races or not. Also, it's pretty late in the day to be changing races because a lot of drivers... Oh, and Stephen Beecham picks up a 3-second time penalty. And that is surely the win done for Stephen Beecham here. He's lost DRS to Ty Clare and also has a 3-second time penalty. Ty has just got to use those hards to get back inside DRS range from Lime. And the win could be his. COD, if it's something that's that everyone thinks we should move the track, we may move the track. I don't think we'll do Australia, but we'll do a different track if the race should be moved. Just not quite sure if it's need to be moved just yet. We'll have to talk about it with the staff, I'm sure. Everyone is aware of where that issue is. As Ollie Bean goes wide at turn 10, opens the door to D. Sommers, and despite the race not going exactly Zampa and D. Sommers' way, still a decent result on the cards for Williams. A P4 and P5 will certainly help them a good bunch in the constructors, as TJ gets ahead of Lanky and Creakery in the space of one corner. Meanwhile, Creakery on the rear of Lanky, trying to find a way through, but his connection is leaves a lot to be desired here. Not even quite sure where the V-carb is, to be honest. As he battles with the Lanky one, but unfortunately, I don't think the Lanky one really knows where he is. Meanwhile, Autism on the inside of Scones. Oh, and he hits the rear of Scones. I don't think he meant to. 3-second time penalty for Autism going into the rear of Scones, and I think that was just a mistake. Missed his braking point a little bit and backs out and lets Scones back through again. That's good battling there from Autism. Recognising his mistake there. Yeah, COD, we may talk about changing the track if it is a big issue, because if it's happening too frequently, I've told everyone basically to avoid that curb, but if it's unavoidable, then we may have to change the track. Unfortunately, it is late in the day and only patches come out on Mondays for F1, so Bahrain won't be patched, so we'll have to see as Controlling battling with Ellis here. Controlling going into the rear of the Haas as he tries to battle his way up into P7. As Lime picks up another time penalty, and that's certainly all she wrote here. Yeah, Cod, I also like Bahrain, but unfortunately we may have to change the track if that issue is too prevalent. Meanwhile, Ty on the rear of Lime. TJ gets ahead of Autism. And Ty now inside DRS range from Lime, who picked up another time penalty, which may even cost him P2 as well. As Controlling on the rear of Ellis and Ollie been Controlling potentially with a very decent debut P6 on the cards as Ledgeman and Ollie being battle for position. They both have time penalties though as Ledgeman backs out there battling with his brother. Meanwhile, Controlling on these medium tyres in the McLaren, going to try and find a way through on the inside now. And side by side they go. Controlling brakes early though. Ledgeman outbrakes the McLaren driver. Meanwhile, Ty on the rear of Lime. Can the Ferrari find a way through on the Aston Martin? The Aston Martin's had a good race, but unfortunately, possibly boxed too early onto those mediums, and also the time penalties will cost Lime here massively. And Lime still may get P2 because Stephen Beecham seems to be dropping even further back. But Controlling gets ahead of Ledgeman now side by side. And Ledgeman off the track as Controlling picks up a 3-second time penalty. But he still has less penalties from Ollie Bean, so still may keep that position as Ty Clear. Still trying to stay with Lime. And Scones picks up a 3-second time penalty as well here as he battles with TJ. Kevin Kell says, good race to the front, and Jesus, the gaps in this race. Cod, now you know how we feel watching Tier 2 last season, because Tier 2 last season was Kevin Kell, Michael Louis, Codzilla, and everyone else. Currently, it's Lime, Ty Clear, and Stephen Beecham, and everyone else. We seem to have our 3 new protagonists who have taken the mantle for Kevin Kell, Codzilla, and Michael Louis from Tier 2 last season. So, massive gaps here. Meanwhile, Ty going to battle with Lime. Ty looking round the outside of the medium runner of Lime. Lime looking to defend that one. Parks his car exactly where it needs to be. As Codzilla says, yeah, we didn't know that at the time. Oh no, Ty's out! Ty's out! On lap 27, I don't believe it! Ty's out! I don't believe it! It's happened again! I am in disbelief! I am absolutely in shock. Ty Clear, for the second Australian race in a row, seemed to have the win in the bag and crashed out on lap 27. Absolute heartbreak for Ty Clear. He seemed to have the win in the bag and crashes on lap 27. Crashed the second season in a row at Australia as Ledgeman and Ollie Bean have a big coming together between the brothers. We'll see what the stewards say about that one. Between the brothers battling here. But absolute heartbreak for Ty Clear. I can't believe what I've just seen. Oh my god, I cannot believe Ty, the second season in a row, has crashed out. And this time it was due to the dirty air behind the Aston Martin. Just got too close to the rear. As Ollie Bean picks up another 3-second time penalty. Ty Clear just got too close to the rear of Lime. And is out of this one. And oh my god, that is such heartbreak. Oh my god, I couldn't be more heartbreaking for Ty. Had so many heartbreaking moments last season, as COD has mentioned in the chat. And another heartbreaking season yet again here, as we will start the final lap here in Tier 2 Australia. And it is on a very sour note because Ty Clear had the win in the bag, and a crash due to the dirty air, unfortunately, will cost Ty Clear a win here. And it couldn't be more heartbreaking. But nothing will take away, despite that contact with the wall from Ty, nothing will take away from how good the driving has been from F1 Lime out here. F1 Lime was criticised heavily last season for being involved in so many incidents. And here, as we head on to F1 25, Lime has turned over a new leaf in this green Aston Martin car. Started the race from P4, and even though he did have 6 seconds of penalties, kept his nose clean and avoided all incidents. And as TJ around a turn 1, not amazing for TJ, but Lime has kept his nose clean here in Australia, and he just has one more corner to do it in the Aston Martin. And Lime, for the first time in WHF, will have his first win here in Tier 2 in the season opener. F1 Lime is a race winner as Stephen Beecham gets his first podium in WHF in terrific scenes. Meanwhile, SSR Zampa will return to the podium here in WHF. You absolutely love to see it. Zampa in his return to WHF with a pole and a podium. Meanwhile, D Somers up to the line with a terrific result for Williams. It's a P3 and a P4, although he may lose that because of his 10-second time penalty. Controlling may get P4 here, and he does. D Somers down to P5. Meanwhile, Ollie Bean and Ledgeman come to the line. Ledgeman will jump him on penalties into P6 as Scones and Creekery come up to the line. And Scones finishes at a Creekery. Next, it's Autism getting a top 10 on debut. Terrific race there for the brother of Ollie Bean and Ledgeman. And meanwhile, it'll be TJ on his debut. Not the race he would have liked, but still a respectable debut. And Lanky One may finish this race with a fastest lap. There you have it. F1 Lime gets his first win here in Australia in the season opener. And what a win it is for Lime. Thank you for the follow, Control, and welcome into the stream. But Lime gets his first win in WHF, and what spectacular fashion. Unfortunate for Ty Clear, who seemed to have the win in the bag, but that will take nothing away from how good Lime's race was in this one, as Stephen Beecham with a fantastic podium there. Race winner is Lime. Fastest lap goes to Lanky. Driver of the day is Creekery, and most overtakes is D Somers. As I feel like we're missing a section. As I'll have to get all the results, because unfortunately there's still an issue with the app at this stage. But we'll try and get all the race director in to help the stewards out. But there you have it. Lime wins here in the WHF Tier 2 season opener, ahead of Stephen Beecham and ahead of Zampa. But anyway, we will start the driver interviews with the first driver to join our race party here. We have Stephen Beecham. Stephen, your first podium in WHF. How did that race go for you? Stephen?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you now. Stephen, how did that race go for you? Hello?
Cannot hear now.
Can you hear us?
Cannot hear now.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right. Stephen, you got your first podium in WHF here in Tier 2. How'd that race go for you?
All right. Stephen, you got your first...
Also control and mute your mic.
My bad.
Stephen, can you hear us? Well, we'll move on while Stephen tries to sort out his issues. Not quite sure what's happened with Stephen, but we'll move on to Scones. Scones, how'd your race go out there?
Honestly, overall, I'm saying it was pretty good. P8, and I was just aiming for P10. Obviously, I had that little incident. Lucky to have survived it. Lost my wing, which was unfortunate, obviously, but I think the pace is there. The car felt good. The setup was good. I was making a few overtakes. Some of these guys are very rapid, though. Fair play. Ledgeman did a really, really good move on me. I got to give him credit for that. It was like the third sector wheel to wheel. He did it nice and cleanly. So props to him for that. Overall, the race could have been better. Unfortunately, with the wing damage, and I had a not great sector one on the first lap. But I think through the season, I think I'll improve a little bit, and you might even see me on the podium at some point.
Well, we are absolutely rooting for a future podium from Scones, and I'm still a decent opener to the season. We did see a couple of your battles throughout there. But definitely a race to be happy about, and we will talk with Ledgeman and Ollie Bean, who both were battling with you throughout that race. Ledgeman, how'd your race go?
I'm not sure if it was him, but from what I saw, Cree, I think, knocked off my right wing flap off the start, which made the first stint a little bit unsteady. So I ended up boxing a little bit early on lap 8, but I had some good battles trying to just hold position. I ended up having a battle with D Summers. I think I went off at turn 9 from that, which got me my first penalty, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it just happens with strict track limits. So I boxed lap 9, still managed to one stop from the mediums to the hards. My tyres were absolutely dead by the end. Ollie Bean was faster than me on his newer tyres, but he kept making the mistakes with like the little issues, a little bit of losing the rear here and there, which let me catch up. But then I overtook him on the back straight, went too deep into the corner, and so did he. That was all shambles. But I don't know where I finished exactly. Was it P5, 6, 7, something like that?
Yeah, I think it was P6, and you did jump Ollie Bean on penalty, so a good result. We'll move.
Yeah, I think that's my best result in Tier 2.
And
me and Stone said we had a very good battle though.
It was definitely a good race from you, and we're looking forward to seeing more of that. And also, we'll move on to Ollie Bean. Ollie Bean, how'd your race go?
It started off really well, but mistake after mistake cost me like potentially a P4, P5 finish. I tried to do the one stop, and by the end, my mediums were shredded, and I kept losing it a lot the last 10 laps, and it cost me an awful lot. I nearly killed D Summers by accident, losing the rear on the second chicane. But thankfully, he managed to avoid me. But yeah, I would keep dipping my rear in the grass here and there, and that was what was spinning me. It was costing me an awful lot. But the pace is there, and I could be on the podium this season. It's just fixing those little errors, as I'm relatively new to the wheel. Yeah, I'm just fixing the mistakes, really.
Yeah, it was still a good result, and I was honestly impressed to see how good you've been on wheels so far, even though you haven't had it too long.
Yeah, no, I've been practicing so much. I was just running time trial after time trial, trying different setups. And once I crack tyre wear and stop dipping my rears into the grass here and there, I'll be a lot more consistent, and hopefully I should be on the podium, hopefully, this season.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing it, and we'll move on to SSR Zampa, who got his first podium on return to WHF, and also pole as well here in Australia, so we'll get the bonus pole point as well. Zampa, how'd that race go for you? Zampa? It seems everyone on the podium is allergic to the microphone. We'll move back on. Stephen Beecham, are you there? No, Stephen? Anyway, we'll move on to the man of the hour, F1 Line, because it seems no one else in the podium is able to talk. F1 Line, you pick up your first win here in WHF. How'd that race go for you?
I was late in, so I was only 8 minutes into qualifying and I got 2 fast laps, which put me P4, which I was happy with. I wasn't actually expecting to win. I wasn't aiming to win, but come lap 1, I think there was a couple of instances that led me up into about P2, P3, and then from there I just kept drafting with people and then catched up to Tycler, and then from there the race was kind of in my bag on the first stint, and then I got a penalty, and I got another penalty, and then I think Tycler had the actually better strategy. I should have gone that strategy, but obviously at the end my tyres were dying, and then all of a sudden I see him going tall, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to win this. So very surprised, but very happy, and I'm now going to crack up in a cold run.
Yeah, so. I was honestly surprised to see both you and Stephen Beecham in so early off the hards. I thought you were going to go to lap 17 or so.
The thing was, I knew that Tycler would be on opposite strategy to me. So in my head, it was either I go out longer and I lose track position, or I go in immediately after Stephen Beecham and I keep track position, which I did. And I battled with the traffic, which actually gave me like a 1.5 second gap to the drivers behind, which actually helped me. So that's kind of where my thought lied. Yeah, my mediums were dying at the end, but yeah.
Well, in the end, it did work, and it helped you get your first win, so no one can fault you for that. And you're now championship leader. How does that, me saying that, sound to you?
Scary, considering last season I was on a season ban and I was being a terrorist. So I hope all of you doubters, if you hear me right now, know that I'm not a terrorist anymore.
Well, we love the F1 Line comeback story, and it has come back better than ever with his first win here in the season opener of Tier 2 Australia. We'll move on to a couple of the... as Rio Harris in the chat says, the end is near. Lime has won a race. As we'll,
right, no need for that.
We'll move on to a couple other people who've joined the party. D Summers, we've seen you got potentially a P5, or it was potentially a P4, but unfortunately you lost it because of the 10-second speeding in the pit lane penalty, and you lost that P4 to controlling and dropped into P5. But D Summers, regardless, how'd that race go for you?
Well, it didn't start well because I had a disconnect as I was sorting out my strategy. So by the time I got in, the start had already gone, and I was on, 2.5, 3 laps of fuel over on the hard tyres. I just had to run with it from that point. But yeah, I'm a bit annoyed at myself for the 10 seconds in the pit lane. Should have braked a little bit earlier, but the hards just enjoyed sliding. Took me over the line, and at that point I was like, okay, when I come out the pits, I just need to get ahead of this group that I'm fighting with. And when I did that, I said to myself and my stream, it's time to make a 7-second gap between me and Ollie Bean and just absolutely go for it on these mediums. I got the 7-second gap, and then controlling came through and just absolutely roared up towards my rear and ruined my P4.
Well, regardless, it's still good points for Williams, and I think Williams actually will take the Constructors' Championship lead because of that, as I think we finally had...
Lock in.
I think we finally had Zampa, who finished P3, also got pole in that race. Zampa, how'd that race go for you?
It was good. Very, very hot. I was just driving on my own for more than half of it, which was fine. I don't know how the guy in front of me didn't burst his tyres. That was mental. I don't know how long those mediums were on for. I was just waiting for them to burst to get P2, but never mind.
Well, regardless, still a great podium. And also, how'd that pole position feel as well?
Do you know what? That was on a used set of tyres.
Oh yeah, nice way to brag.
Yeah, so humble, so humble.
Because they were from my second run because I binned my second run. I nearly
Zampa, I
nearly
think you
destroyed
need
the
to not
car.
lock up as much.
Yeah,
I think you need to not lock up as much because
Yeah,
you
I'm
just broke
trying.
my front wing.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I've gone fully no assists this game, and I'm not joking. That is the second time I've played the game, so just bear with.
Have you brought the game yet, or are you still on trial?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
Well, I'm hoping that that result in that race as a whole will help you stay around and race with us a couple more times, because that was a pleasure to watch.
Thank you. It was a good race.
Yeah, and
On a side note, I was surprised there wasn't the usual safety car that we usually have.
yeah,
No, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it, Scotties.
I will say on the stream we were all shocked because the Sauber smashed the wall at turn 4.
Went upside down.
At turn 5, flipped across the track, and there was no safety car. I literally went into the settings, checked what the settings were, and it says the safety car was on reduced, which is what we've always had it on. So I am still so shocked that race had no safety cars, because there definitely should have been, but who knows how we escaped without safety cars there.
Must admit,
Someone
every
needs to
single
get
time,
a shovel.
every single time I saw someone had retired pop up, I was like, right, here comes safety car, and open. I was like, huh? I was so confused because every single time I saw it pop up, I was like, oh, here comes a safety car. No safety car. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, and speaking of that safety car, I think we'll move on to Gunnar. Gunnar is new to the league, and Gunnar, we did see you unfortunately crash early on there. All of us are surprised that your car did not bring out a safety car, but Gunnar, how'd that first race go for you anyway?
The setup for quali was good, but for the race, it really wasn't. It was. I'm surprised there was no safety car myself, but I just understeered fully into that corner. It was going well the race so far. I think I could have gotten like P4, P5, maybe even the podium from that crash later on. But yeah, not a great race to be fair.
Well, nonetheless, I would still say it's a good start, and it isn't really. I think a lot of people are unaware that corner in particular, the dirty air, is horrific. We've seen
100%. Yeah.
we've seen 2 crashes at that corner in the one race because of how bad the dirty air is on this game at that specific corner. So I would not be down following that result, but as you come back for the next race, hopefully we're hoping you can bounce back. We'll move on now to Cree. How'd your race go as well, if you're there?
Hello? Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yes, Gregory.
Hi. Hi, how you doing?
How'd your race go, Cree?
Well, not bad. I was having a bit of technical issues throughout the entire race. I was lagging the entire time. It kind of seemed like everybody kept like pausing and then unpausing, so I was very confused on like what was going on. Like if I was in a battle, everybody would go invisible, and it looked like someone would run off the road and then just pop up back in front of me. So at some point I was just like, okay, you know what? I just need to focus up on the racing and not pay attention to anybody around, because I don't even know who's in front of me, who's behind me, because it could change in a split second. But it was pretty good going from 16th all the way into the points. Yeah, the tire strategy was pretty much just hang on to the hards as much as I can, and last 10 laps go on the mediums and try to gain some places. It didn't work out as good as I thought, just because I was hard racing during the last couple of laps, and I could not catch up to Sconzi, who, by a tad margin. We could have had a photo
I
finish.
even lost the rear, and I think it was like turn 6 or something. Barely saved it, and I'm like panicking. So I'm like, he's coming.
Yeah, like I was on the wheel, just going like, come on. Yeah, but oh yeah, real quick, Ledgeman, on that first turn, same situation. I could not tell like what was going on. For one, I thought we were gonna abort the start because it seemed like someone readied up a little too early. So when I tried the brake, everything was just kept going like ghost, actual car, ghost actual car, ghost actual car, and I could not tell like what was going on, and I tried to hit the brakes as hard as I could, but I clipped you in the end, and I'm sorry about that.
I noticed that you hit me visually ghosted, and you went through like my front wheel, but I
Yeah,
still
like
got damage. I got like half damage of what I probably should have gotten, so it's a bit weird.
Yeah, like I don't. I want to say it's my internet connection that's just not not catching up to everybody else's. So that could be it, and I'm gonna keep that in mind in the next couple of in the rest of the season.
Yeah, we'll I'm pretty sure we can help you because I think last season you raced, your connection was not as bad as we've seen out there today. So I think there's probably just some sort of issue that we can probably work on to fix for the future.
Yeah, sounds good.
But
I can say from my part there is currently issues with EA servers. Like I have gigabit internet, yet I'm dropping out in quali and at the start of the race. So it could be something to do with EA, unfortunately.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, there is
But
something
alright.
going. I think you guys can hear me now. I had to fix something, but real quick, good race all around. This was fun. I think we kind of showed what Ferrari can do, right this time around. So going on the medium so early was not a good idea. I was just in the moment and kind of wanted to try something, and I couldn't keep up with the DRS at Clear. So sad what happened to him. I'm not sure what that entailed, but I think it was all fair play. So, but no, P2 was good. I showed really what I could do from kind of learning and trying to get better from last season. So can't wait to keep it up.
Yeah, it was a great race, Stephen. Unfortunately, with Ty, he just got the dirty air from the car of Lime ahead and hit the wall at turn 5.
The dirty air in this game is it's bad. It's hard.
Yeah, it definitely is. Unfortunately, that is really all it took to end Ty's race. He did seem to be one of the favourites for the victory there, but unfortunately, that ultimately cost them. But anyway, you have got your first podium in WHF. Stephen, how did that race go for you, and how does the podium feel for you as well?
The podium feels great. I really wasn't sure what this race was going to look like for me. I've been practicing a lot and trying to get better and do right by Ty Clear because he did really great last season. So the race went okay. I pitted too early. The hards are just there at first. They're just kind of, it's hard to hang on with my setup sometimes. So I should have kept them on longer, but overall, I think it was a good race. I mean, from most of the races last season, I was kind of in the back half. This season is totally different. So I just can't wait to see what's to come.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what will happen in this one. And the championship is honestly a whole lot more spicy than we thought it was going to be. Whenever we loaded into qualifying, we didn't realize how close the top 4 was going to be. But in the end, the championship could really go anyone's way. We'll have to see. We'll also get a chance here to interview Controlling, who it must be 4 a.m. in the morning. Controlling, how'd that race go for you? We're going to let you go to bed as soon as possible.
Yeah, it was a bad first stint. Yeah, I got taken out at the start, ended up at P13. Just kept spinning out. I had a late pit stop, and then it just started flying on the mediums. That's about it.
Yeah, and you did get a P4 in the end. You were able to jump D Summers due to penalties. How did that P4 feel after that long race?
Oh, it felt pretty nice.
And are you looking forward to the rest of the season as well?
Yeah, I am. Hopefully we can get a podium or a win, maybe. If we're lucky.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, Controlling, and please go to bed, because it must be like 4:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah, about 4:30. I see you, lads.
Alright, see you later, Controlling. But anyway, I think that is everyone interviewed here in the party. Thank you all for watching. It's been one of the longer driver interviews because there's been so many people who had a fun one to start this round. We'll find someone to rate on our way out. But a terrific start to the season. This has been WHF Tier 2. And Lime has been your winner today. We're going to raid one of the WHF legends in Cloud, who was former runner-up in WHF Season 3, I believe. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been WHF Faro, and goodbye.